Hello aspirants, this is me Yasmin Gill presenting to you the PIB highlights of 12th of January. So you can follow all these videos on this particular link of an academy, plus you can also help us in achieving this mission of 1000 ratings via your rating and reviews. And how can you do so? You can just quickly go on an academy, there you can search PIB January. So once you search PIB January, you will come across the highlights course. On clicking on it, under reviews, you can actually write your review, and with the help of stars, you can give star ratings. So let's begin. Firstly, under history, culture and geography section, we have an important news from geography, that is less of monsoon this year. So what has happened is Tamil Nadu, particularly we know it receives and benefits a lot from northeastern monsoon, and that too in winter season. But this very year, northeast monsoon, it almost failed. So Tamil Nadu has declared drought in all of its districts. Plus, in general, also South India's combined reservoir levels have fallen. So this is a serious issue for various crops such as coconut, paddy, sugar production, etc., which are grown mainly in southern states. Other than that, there was a less of southwest monsoon as well during the month of summers. Also, this particular scenario will lead to a big political issue, that is interstate water disputes. Plus, see, relief could be provided by insurance scheme, but that is also doubtful. How? Because right now there's only less than a third of drought hit areas in Karnataka that have been covered under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Also, in one of the previous lessons of PIB, we had actually done what are the implementation issues regarding this particular scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. So in that context, farming sector as such, agriculture sector as such, plus political nature of disputes pertaining to water is a big issue that we can confront in the southern states. Next, under polity and governance, we have fundamental rights, a perspective. So this was an article written in Indian Express by Soli Saurabh ji. So this has particularly nothing to do with your current affairs, but it's a very static portion. It may help you in writing one of your answer. But see, the information part, or the I would say the perspective, was a very good one and a fresh one. So what it says is that usually we think that we people, that is Indian citizens, we enjoy our fundamental rights because we have a constitution. But Soli Saurabh ji says that our freedom fighters, and especially the members of the Constituent Assembly who drafted the constitution, they believed in the fact that fundamental rights are not a gift of the state to citizens. They are not gifted by the state. Rather, they are certain basic human rights which should have existed even if there is a constitution or even if there is not a constitution. So they are independent of constitution. So in that sense, constitution does not confer fundamental rights, rather it only confirms their existence. So that's a very good point indeed to write in your answers also. Other thing which Soli Saurabh ji points out is, do the courts of the country, that is the High Court or the Supreme Court, have the mandate or have the power to actually extend the fundamental rights, extend those fundamental rights which not have been explicitly mentioned in the constitution? So in that context, he says that our Supreme Court indeed have extended. For example, we know that Article 21, right to life, it has been extended widely. It has been interpreted in a very liberal manner. Other than that, if you know, freedom of press is not provided explicitly, but under Article 19, that is freedom of speech and expression, this is an extended version of it. Similarly, right to education is an extended version of Article 21. So in that context, fundamental rights have been extended with respect to our social and economic evolution by the courts of the country. But this does not mean that fundamental rights are absolute. They have to be under certain restrictions, and what these restrictions are and how they are interpreted, they at times depend upon judicial subjectivity, and this factor of subjectivity cannot be removed. But then this factor of subjectivity does not mean that judges should not review the implementation of fundamental rights. Judges should come forward and check whether fundamental rights are implemented on ground level but properly or not, via the concept of judicial review. In that context, he also says this is important. Why? Because it is to keep a check on the authoritarian regimes and also in situations of emergency. So one of the very popular tools to keep a check is PIL, that is public interest litigation. So this is how the fundamental rights have been interpreted by Soli Saurabh ji, who says that these are certain basic rights which are not derived from constitution, rather they should exist even with or without the constitution, plus judiciary has to check on ground whether they are properly implemented or not. Next, parliamentary committees, very important right now, because right now the Public Account Committee have given a questionnaire to RBI, right? So in that context, the very role of parliamentary committee is very important to know. So what do they help in? Firstly, we know that parliaments major of the time these days is spent or wasted, right? It is actually wasted mainly on the political matters. So what check the parliament has on executive is turning more and more of a political nature. So there is not a legal check, not a proper legislative scrutiny of the bills, okay, and not a check on the draft bills, etc. Rather, the check is mainly of a political nature. So, in that context, proper discussion takes place in committees, and in that context, the role of committees is very, very important. So, they scrutinize legislative proposals, they keep a check on the functioning of the government, that is the executive, also scrutinize demand for grants, annual reports, long-term policy documents, etc. Plus, see, very important fact is that most of these parliamentary committees do not have their meetings openly, so they are often hidden behind the camera, so they are not open to the public, right? So, which is a good fact. Why? Because see, once the scrutiny is removed, once they are not live telecasted, what happens is that this thing promotes better negotiation, free exchange of ideas between the participating MPs, and therefore there's a good conclusion reached between the opposition as well as the governing party. So in that context, this is important, but this is also a drawback. How it's a drawback, we'll see in the next slide. So in order to perform all these functions, these committees have the required power to call witnesses, to give evidences, etc. Like, for example, I would not say RBI is a witness, but in context of a check on the executive regarding demonetization, it has given a questionnaire to RBI as well to respond to a public accounts committee. See, but what are the major issues that have plagued their functioning? See, first one is the very fact which is also given in the benefit, but it is also a drawback. What is it? The work goes on behind closed doors, so we never know what sort of negotiations take place. Other than that, what has happened is that any sort of evidence which is presented before such committees, it is usually kept secret. So, which is not the case in US. For example, in US, you may be amazed to know that statements made before committees are actually thrown open to public and also telecast live, which is a big, I would say, transparent mechanism. So, what do India needs to do to evolve its parliamentary committees to a more high standard? These are the following points. Firstly, permit Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha TV to telecast the testimony given. Also allow press to observe the evidence. Then Government of India should come forward in publication and put forth the publication of the testimony which has been given. Also, public should be allowed to view the proceedings. And lastly, we do have rules which can allow these. So we do not need some separate rules to allow all these. For example, say rules of procedure of Lok Sabha enables or gives the power to chairman of any committee to allow the evidence to be presented either as a confidential one or to publicize it. So it solely depends on the chairman of committee. So in that context, these are certain worthy points which can be implemented to make our parliamentary committees more transparent to public. Next, ordinance overreach. So this is another important topic in polity. So recently in Krishna Kumar case, Supreme Court has reiterated or re-said that re-promulgation of ordinances is not to be done. It's a fraud on constitution. So for example, enemy property ordinance have been re-promulgated for 5 times. So it was first time presented in 2016 itself, and in 2016 itself it has been promulgated 5 times. So which is a big check. Even President has spoken about it. So what happens is that these ordinance re-promulgation, which was actually also spoken of by Supreme Court in DC Wadhwa case. So this particular re-promulgation actually, I would say, jeopardizes the principle of parliamentary supremacy. Also, what it does is it converts the president's power to make ordinances into a parallel power of legislation, which should not be there. See, ordinance making is not a parallel power of president. It is just a substitute in case certain sort of emergencies arise. So this is why ordinance overreach is not a good thing to do. Also, these are certain noteworthy experts where you can use it. See, first one in favor of ordinance making power and second one against it. So firstly, we'll go through what are the factors that actually favor coming up with ordinances. Firstly, very big personality, that is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar himself, said that such provision is needed to deal with the emergency. Fair enough. Also, Lok Sabha rules enable that whenever a bill to replace an ordinance is tabled, proper statement of explanation has to be given as to what was the urgency. Next, it is merely a temporary provision and not a parallel power, so why to worry? Also, it is subject to judicial review. So in case there is a malafide, it will get caught. Also, lastly, it is not a discretionary power of president. It is something which president presents on the advice of Council of Ministers. COAM stands for Council of Ministers. And Council of Ministers are who? They are the representatives of people. So we have to trust them with policy making as well. So what are the factors against it? These are also noteworthy factors. Firstly, this sort of power is not found in most democratic constitutions of the world, for example, US, UK, etc. Plus, this provision is being misused with the help of re-promulgation, very common, for example, enemy property ordinance. Also, it is being used as a parallel power. Also, it is used as a substitute power. How? it is used to bypass debate and discussion in the parliament and find out an easy way out. So it is for you to judge whether ordinance making power should be there or should not be there, and if it is there, is it misused and how to check its misuse. So these are some of the questions which you must think upon yourself, and you can even answer them. So these are the respective points. Next we come to international relation, India and Kenya. So do remember this very famous personality of Kenya, President Jomo Kenyatta. So he was the one who laid the foundation of the Kenyan nation. Why important? Because he shared very special relationships with India's first Prime Minister as well. Also recently, Festival of India has been held in Kenya by the name of Urafiki Utsav. All other noteworthy point is Muhindis. So who are Muhindis? Muhindis were those Indians who were recruited by British to be sent to Kenya to build the Kenyan-Uganda railway. With time, they got integrated in Kenya, and today the integration is to that level that they are also referred to as the 43rd tribe of Kenya, and they have contributed in a very, very big manner to Kenya's economy as well. Next, under economy section, we have coconut. So what's it here? As per the Coconut Development Board, India is the global leader in production as well as productivity of coconuts. Also coconuts, see, usually we have this image of coconuts being only cultivated in the southern states of India, right? But you'll be amazed to know that coconut is cultivated in 16 states and 3 union territories. Even in states like North Bihar, particularly in its Korsi region, it is very suitable for coconut cultivation, though it is a non-traditional area. Next we have under IIP and CPI, very common, you can go through them. Who publishes it, on what data is it based, you must have done it many number of times, so I'll leave this portion up to you. So under security related, we have a submarine Khanderi launched. So with the help of France under Project 75, we are coming up with 6 Scorpion submarines at Mazagon Dock Shipyard Limited. The first one was Kalvari, second one has been launched recently, Khanderi. Also do remember 2017 would be celebrated by Indian Navy as the golden jubilee of the submarine arm. Next, guided Pinaka, again very important. See, earlier there was a Pinaka Mark II which was a rocket. So now what extra features have been added in a Mark II is that, so earlier it was Mark I, now it is Mark II. So what is the extra feature? It is navigation system, and therefore it is known as guided Pinaka. So this has improved the range as well as the accuracy. So who has developed it? Again important, jointly developed by ARDE. ARDE is Armament Research and Development. So this is in Pune, and RCI, I am not sure of the exact full form, so it is something like Research Center. So this is located in Hyderabad, and we have Defense Research Organization in Hyderabad. Plus the range and launch support has been provided by ITR, that is Integrated Testing Range in Chandipur. Do mention in the comment section where is Chandipur located. So this is all about guided Pinaka, new weapon in the defense kit. So that is it for today. If you find the initiative useful, do not forget to rate and review it. Thank you so much.